I absolutely believe in global marketing still, even though it's not fashionable anymore. But I do think you need to interrogate every aspect of the marketing mix and then decide how much of that is truly relevant in every market and what needs to be adapted a little bit or maybe more than a little bit. My name is Alessandra Bellini, and I am now, I've transitioned to a portfolio career after nearly 40 years of corporate world. Now I do a variety of things. I do non-executive directors roles, public speaking, advisory and executive coaching.
And what excites you the most about what you do?
It is the variety. What I absolutely love is the opportunity to engage with different organizations, different leaders, different business problems and challenges, and get to use all of my experience in business, in the industry of marketing and advertising, but also I've just qualified as an executive coach, so I get to use a little bit of that as well. And I love the fact that I can learn something new from all of these peoples and these businesses, but also get to use what I learned over the years.
So you actually took an apprenticeship in advertising at 19 instead of going to university. What led you to make that decision?
My mum. She was really worried that I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, what I liked, whether I had any particular talent, and I myself didn't know really what I wanted to do. So I was at university, but I wasn't really attending very much. I was a bit confused. I found it hard to study, and she just saw this little ad for a traineeship in advertising, in the advertising industry for a year, and she just pushed me to apply. And then the rest is history.
So if you were starting your career again today, do you think you'd still take the same path?
If I could, I absolutely would. I'm not great on looking back in general. I'm always enjoying the present and looking forward. And I think whatever happens in life, there's a reason. And whilst I wasn't sure why I fell into advertising, it set me up really, really well for all the other things that I did in the future. And actually every step I've taken in life and professional life, has set me up well for the next step. So yeah, I would do it all over again.
So you kicked off your career and then you went on to spend 21 years at Unilever. What kept you there for so long, and how did your roles and the advertising space evolve during that time?
And I would say both in advertising and then later at Unilever, the fact that I could work in different markets, different countries, different categories, different brands, kept it fresh for me. So I never had a chance to really get bored. At Unilever in over 20 years, I had 8 different roles. So it's as if I changed company every 2 years or so, getting to know, again, different people. Most importantly, as a marketeer, getting to understand different consumers, different brands. So you kind of collect different ways of looking at business problems, and keeps it fresh and really challenging and really interesting as well.
So after your time at Unilever, you took on the role of Chief Customer Officer at Tesco. And what were the biggest challenges and opportunities in leading marketing for such a well-known and varied company?
Such a huge company too. I mean, it's been the honor of my life, genuinely, professionally and personally. I've loved every minute. I didn't really know what I was letting myself into. I was working and living in the US at the time. And of course I knew Tesco as a name. I didn't really know what had happened to Tesco before I joined. And I joined halfway through the turnaround since the 2014 accounting scandal. And so when I joined, we had 3 big challenges. The first one was to reassure the customers that they could trust the brand Tesco. The second one was to reassure the colleagues at Tesco working there that they were valued, that the company cared about their thoughts, their experience, their work. And also, as importantly, to reassure the investors and the markets that their money was in safe hands. So there was a lot to do, and it wasn't just a customer or a marketing job. But clearly with my team, we took on the challenge of reestablishing trust, raising the bar when it came to how the brand communicated, how it expressed itself, how it communicated quality, price, service, all of the important drivers of choice. We relaunched completely the own brand range, which was 11,000 products in over a year and a half. So it was a mix of rigor, discipline, raising the bar, but also creating a culture, creating a way of doing things in marketing at Tesco.
Can you share a pivotal moment in your career that changed the way you thought about marketing and leadership?
Yes, I'm not sure it changed it, but it actually became very, very real in the things that you always think about marketing and or leadership. But then when you really go through it, you understand what it means. And it was in my work in North America, based in the US, working on ice cream, which is an amazing category. I always said I was lucky enough to be paid to work on ice cream and develop ice creams. But it was it's a huge market, it's the North American one, a huge category for Unilever. And the business had to be, once again, transformed completely, reshaped, both the portfolio, the brands, the innovation. And it was under a lot of scrutiny internally at Unilever and on the market. And it was a really difficult, challenging business situation. We had to really turn it around quickly, and we had to touch every single aspect of the business. And so we managed to do it. It took about 3 years to do it. But we couldn't have done it without being deliberate in the way the leadership, as a leader with my colleagues on the US market, we deliberately decided to work together, to face into any challenge together, to role model the behavior with our team, so that other than squabbling between themselves about the reasons why something wasn't going well, we would focus on our consumers, on our products, and try and beat the competitors in the market. And it wasn't obvious, it wasn't natural, but we did it, and it was probably the most important business experience and leadership experience as well.
So you've had years of experience in the advertising space, and you've become an excellent mentor during this time. How has mentorship influenced your own career?
It has and it hasn't. I've never looked formally for mentors, but I have been mentored by a lot of colleagues, by a lot of line managers or colleagues at Unilever, friends, and then more recently even by people in my team who were much better at certain things than I was. I consider myself the world's worst mentee because I lack self-confidence, and I always felt like being mentored was like going to school and sitting an exam for some weird reason. So I never made full use of the official mentorship that was available to me at Unilever, and reflected more recently that that was probably because of misunderstanding what mentorship is about. But on the other hand, I have mentored a lot of people as well, and I continue to be mentored by my friends and by people I know in the industry.
What qualities make a great mentor and a great mentee?
Yeah, so I think a great mentor really needs to understand the person they're mentoring, not just their role, not just what they say they want to get out of the mentorship relationship, but also have the EQ to understand them a little bit better, how they learn, how they take in information, what are their real motivations. And I think as a mentee, on the other hand, I didn't make any of those terribly clear. I wasn't quite sure why I was being mentored, or I didn't have in my mind things I could get out of mentorship. So clarity, sensitivity, emotional intelligence to really you would say in coaching, contract what the relationship is about and what both people want to get out of it.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you think brands are making when marketing to a global audience?
I think the polar opposite of the same spectrum, and thinking that a marketing mix or a campaign can travel 100% to every country in the world, and then thinking that everything has to be totally different in every country. While it sounds obvious, I think I absolutely believe in global marketing still, even though it's not fashionable anymore. But I do think you need to interrogate every aspect of the marketing mix, whether it's the product, the pricing strategy, the channel in which you sell it, or how you promote it and communicate it, and then decide how much of that is truly relevant in every market and what needs to be adapted a little bit or maybe more than a little bit. And be truly led by the market, the competitive situation and the consumers rather than your own feeling, either way. So you can be mindlessly global, as we used to say at Unilever, or hopelessly local. Both are a waste of time and money. finding the right middle measure requires a little bit of experience, I find, a little bit of luck, but it is necessary. And I do believe you can make most positionings work around the world, but you need to be sensitive.
What's one of the most inspiring or impactful campaigns you've worked on, and why was that so special?
So one is the campaign for Real Beauty by Dove, and it was a really difficult one at the time. Today it sounds obvious that you want to be against their beauty stereotypes and portray women as they are, how they want to be seen. But at the time it was very, very novel. And it just shook us all as marketeer and business people because it was against the grain. It was against what everyone else was doing. So on one hand, it was very brave and risky. And on the other hand, it has changed the way that most beauty brands, mass market for sure, but any type of beauty brands, and advertising in general has then communicated with women to women and been in a dialogue. And debunking the stereotypes of how women should be portrayed was incredibly important. But it wasn't simple and it wasn't obvious at the time. So I'm very fortunate and happy that I was part of the various teams that had to take it in, launch it in Italy. At the time I was working as marketing director in Italy, and I'm very proud of it, even today.
Yeah.
And the second one is maybe much more light-hearted, but during COVID, for the first Tesco Christmas campaign of COVID, we launched, our Christmas campaign was Nobody's on the Naughty List. I don't know if you remember it, but it was very light-hearted, very funny, really recognizing what was going on in the country. We were all down, depressed, frustrated, or feeling locked up. And it was bringing a smile, but also being very respectful of what was going on. It's been one of the most successful campaigns that Tesco's had for Christmas, and one I felt really, really proud.
Are there any brands or campaigns that you're currently admiring for their sort of cultural connection and resonance?
Look, there are many, but I just saw one 2 days ago, and I thought I'd mention it because it's so bonkers. I think it's I don't know if you've seen it, it's the cats ad for the Tesco mobile in Ireland. It's got cats being very depressed, describing what's happening to them. They're basically describing someone taking pictures over and over of them. You know, like we're all obsessed with taking pictures of cats on social media. And then there's a little cat coming and he's dressed up and he's on a little truck or something. And he's going like, this is even worse. And it's just so funny because it uses AI, it uses the cultural reference to how people use their phones and how the pets must feel. It just makes you stop for a second, makes you laugh. It's all about the cultural nuances, but it's also a message about the capabilities of the phones and the network of Tesco Mobile. I think it's very funny.
Yeah. So what is one piece of career advice that you wish you had received earlier?
So being chatty, I couldn't have only one piece. I have about 3 things. One is just relax. It's going to be okay. I find that most careers work out. So trust the system, whatever the system is, whether it's the company you work with or your own instinct or your network of people, most times it'll work out. If you work hard, if you're smart, if you're passionate and curious, it'll work out. And then the second one is probably you're not your work, and therefore don't overlay your successes with you as a person and your failures with you as a person. They are as a result of your work for sure, but they are not you. And that will allow for a slightly more relaxing career, I think.
So looking ahead, what's next for you? Is there anything that you're working on that's exciting or any immediate goals at all?
No, what's next is this portfolio of things that I have. It's a bit of a friend of mine calls it the fruit salad. You know, like every day you taste a different type of fruits, you have a bit more of this, a bit more of that. And that in itself is exciting. And also what I find is because everything is quite new in the way that I have to work, it's a stretch and I'm learning new things, which is also something new that I hadn't done for a long, long time. So I just look forward to more of that.
And finally, if you could describe your career in 3 words, what would they be?
Connecting heart and mind. 4 words or 3 words on a letter.
Yep.
Connecting heart and mind is the way I look at business problems, the way I look at connecting people to their strategy, brands to their companies. Nothing ever works if it's just a heart piece or just a mind piece, but when you make them really connected and sync, most great things happen.